Then we will go to the offer management, so how to accept and reject offers. And here your main menu is here, the offer management. When you click here, you will see all the new offers that have been created and that have not been evaluated by you as a national authority yet. So they will not appear in the national database as available yet. Here you have different filter options. So let's say you only want to evaluate all the offers of a certain species or of a certain supplier. You could filter this list of offers. And here you will see when it was created, the species, the cultivar name, whether a quantity was indicated. So this is not mandatory in every country to indicate a quantity. And you will see the supplier, the status. So because also in-conversion material can be placed, and also plant material produced from non-organic plant material can be placed here. And then this would be indicated in the status. And then if you click on the question mark, you will have more information on the offer. So for instance, on the form and the quality of the offer, on the certification. You also have more information on the cultivar, so the breeder and breeding method, if known. And then also when the supplier places the offer in the database, first they have to put in some general information on the offer. So that would be form and quality. And then they tick the countries they have already been accepted to, and they want to now offer their material to. And then depending, they can also put more information for each of those countries. That would be, for instance, certain delivery information for this offer. And in case of mixtures, you should also find the list of components in this mixture here. And then the supplier has the possibility of putting also general delivery information of the country. So let's say they can also only deliver to certain regions in the country, or they can only deliver a minimum or maximum quantity. This information you would find here. Then they have the possibility of putting in material that is currently unavailable, but they know that it will be available at a certain date. And at this date, the offer will automatically be set to available. And then in this case, you would find the date here. Then under specials, so we have the possibility of adapting the offer form to the requirements of the individual countries. So we can put check boxes that they also have to tick depending on the country. So this could be, for instance, that in certain countries it is required to give more information on whether it is suitable for certain paleoclimatic conditions, or whether it was tested for certain diseases. So also if you in your country, you want to have more information on a certain species, we can implement this for you. We can install those checkboxes that the supplier has to tick in order to give more information. And in this case, you would find the information here. And then under process, you will find the history of the offer. So in this case, when I created the offer, I wrongly selected bulb instead of tuber, which doesn't make a lot of sense when you offer potatoes. So when I realized my mistake, I changed it back to tuber. So this information, any changes in the offer, you would see here. So yes, that's what I said. So we have the possibility of adapting it to the requirements of individual countries. And then also each species is subdivided into species groups. And if it's a cultivar that is not allocated to one of those groups yet, you first have to allocate it to one of those groups before you can evaluate it. So you see here the tick and the cross is gray, so you can't click it yet. First, you have to click on the exclamation mark to edit the species groups. So this is, for instance, the species groups that is used in Germany for potatoes. So this is also individual for each country. And and Apollo is apparently not offered in Germany yet, so it has not been allocated to any of those species groups. then the supplier will see that, and he has the possibility of recommending a species group. And you as an authority will then see the recommendation and say, okay, I'll also select the same species group. You can also say, I select a different species group, or you also have the possibility of, for instance, selecting several species groups if the cultivar is fitting in several species groups. If you see that, for instance, none of the species group is fitting and it's worthwhile to create a new species group, you can directly do that here. And also if it's, for instance, a species that is not subdivided into groups yet, you will also need to create at least one species group and then name it, for instance, not specified. But I will show you how you manage those species groups a little bit later when we come here to the species group management. And then under special attributes, you will find again those information what I explained here before. So depending on the depending on the species, certain countries might require more information. And you as an authority then also have the possibility of correcting, so to say, the information that the supplier has given. So if you know that from your experience, for instance, Apollo is not suitable for the pedoclimatic conditions, you could deselect what the supplier has recommended. Then once you have saved the species groups, you will come back to the offer management. So we're basically back here, just that now I made a screenshot only from the new offers to show you two different cases. So in the case of Agria, the cultivar is already known in Germany. It has already been allocated to a species group. So I immediately have the possibility of saying I accept or reject the offer. In case of Apollo, it has not been allocated to a species group yet. So I first need to allocate it, and then I can tick accept or reject. And once accepted, it is automatically displayed in Organic Seeds, or I can download it in the offer export, which I will show you later, as an available offer. Okay, then you have the list of already processed offers, where you have different filter options of looking at all the offers that you have already processed, whether it is accepted or rejected. And you have the possibility of re-evaluating an offer. So let's say when a supplier has created an offer and you realize they made a mistake when they created it, or you have further questions on the offer, you could first reject it, contact the supplier and ask to update the offer. And once they have updated the offer, you can change the evaluation and say, okay, now I accept the offer. In the search for offers, you can filter all offers that have been created in your country, whether they have been accepted yet or not, whether they have been processed yet or not. You can also, again, filter, for instance, to look only at accepted, rejected offers. And then we have a color code. So before, I've only shown you offers with this green circle with a plus in the middle, but there's also a different color code. So green means the offer is currently available. Yellow means the offer is currently not available, but the supplier has indicated a date at which it will be automatically set to available. And red means that it's currently not available. There's no date where it will be set to available, or the supplier has even archived the offer. And then we have the offer tracking. So in the offer tracking, you can look at the history of the offer.
Kaya, can we make a short break? We have 2 questions.
Yes. So also after this, I will have a break for questions anyways. So
okay, then. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So in the offer history, you can select a certain time period where you want to have want to look at all the changes that have happened in this period, or you can also look at only a certain cultivar. And then you will again see, for instance, when it was created, whether there were any other changes, or also in the case of Andante, you will see when it was approved by you as an authority. And now we come to questions. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have 3 questions now. The first one is referring to the material approved according to point 1.8.6. Maybe you can repeat this case. And the question is, will it be possible to see if this applied material applied according to 1.8.6 is already approved in another country?
Yes, so I already thought there would be a question about this. So in general, the Article 186 causes a lot of confusion in a lot of countries, and we have already been in contact with several authorities about this. So the thing is that the European Commission requires information on material produced according 186, but material produced according 186 basically has the status as organic. But because we need to deliver those information to the European Commission, we have different statuses. And basically it means it's approved non-organic material. So the nursery, for instance, has a derogation to use this non-organic mother plant. And from this mother plant, they will also produce planting material, which is then sold to farmers. And farmers can use it as organic material, but they need to have the status approved according to 186 to be able to document it. However, the regulation doesn't cover all cases, so it's not very clear yet in which cases it is really 186 and in which cases it is organic or conventional. Also because the regulation doesn't really cover what is when it's in conversion material, can it be sold as will it always stay in conversion material, or whether it will also be 186 material? So there's still a lot of questions marks. So we've put it in place to be able to document it and to report to the European Commission, but we still need to define it. So it's only a short-term solution, and we really need to define in which conditions it's necessary to be able to indicate that it's material to 186. I hope it makes a bit clearer. What was the other question?
The question was that if it's visible, if this material was approved according to this law in other countries. Maybe I could imagine, if I would think of this, that this, for instance, the offer could be rejected by the authority, and there could be a request sent from like a message from the authority to the supplier, that the supplier needs to prove or to show if this material has been approved in another country, for instance.
Yes, yeah, it's a good question. No, at the moment it's not directly shown, so I think you will need to contact the supplier. Or in the case of organic egg seeds countries, you could look at the other organic egg seeds databases to find those information there. Yeah, but it's a good question. I will note that down.
And there's another question. I just jumped to this third question, and then I come back to the second one. There's another question also to this 186. How will the offer in accordance to Article 186 be put on the database, on the router database or organic egg seed? Which procedure will be followed, as only organic planting material, plant reproductive material in accordance with 186 can be put on the database after authorization of the member state? So is there any procedure in place how to put this in the database?
So at the moment it is possible to indicate it. So suppliers need to indicate the status of the material, and there they can then indicate whether it's organic, whether it's in conversion, or whether it is this approved according to 186 material. And this will then be also automatic. Those information will be automatically then transferred to the national database in case of organic egg seeds. Yeah. Or it will also appear in the offer export, which I will show you later.
Okay, so there are furthermore questions to this 186. I think this is a very important issue. But I think we can summarize that it is indicated in the database if this material is approved accordance to 186, right?
Yes. So there is definitely the possibility, but as I said before, we need to probably also change the wording because it also creates a lot of confusion to the suppliers, and also really define in which conditions it has to be indicated as 186. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in the regulation it doesn't cover all the cases that can happen, whether it is generative, vegetative, whether it's annual, perennial, what happens in the case of grafting. But in general, it is approved non-organic planting material, which is sold as planting material.
Okay. Okay, I will take this, note this down, this point, and maybe we can make a separate webinar on this or discussion around
Probably.
it in future. And I will note this. At least there's another question. For instance, sometimes supplier do not mention the species group. It should be not be up to the competent authority to choose a group. This is the responsibility of the supplier to make sure the group is correct.
So the authorities are responsible of subdividing the species that are relevant in their countries into species groups. If there's no species group, the supplier can also not put any offers to the database. And then they need to recommend a species group when they place the offer. And you as an authority, you will see the recommendation, and you can then also follow the recommendation. But yes, so if the cultivar is not allocated yet, the supplier needs to recommend a species group.
Okay.
But the species groups you will need to define before. So they will see the species group that are existing in the country, and then they select from those species groups. Okay.
And if they not select a species group, then this the offer could be rejected, and it could be mandatory that the supplier select.
Well, it's mandatory to select one of the existing species groups when they place the offer.
Okay, so they can't send this offer to another authority without selecting a species group?
No.
Okay.
No. So they place the offer, they first put general information on the offer, like the form and the quality, and then they see all the countries that they have been accepted to, and they tick the countries they want to place this specific offer. And then depending on the country, there's more information required. And so let's say they tick Germany, and then they will see whether the cultivar has already been allocated to a species group or not. If it has not been allocated to a species group yet, they need to select one of the species group of the existing species groups in Germany.
Okay. Thank you very much. So there's another question on the mixtures. Are you working on adding a line for each cultivar and percentage of each of the mixtures, as the current function is frustrating for suppliers and farmers?
So I will also later on tell you a little bit about a relaunch that we want to do about the database, because with the new regulations, we need to do a lot of changes to the database. And with this relaunch, we also want to improve, for instance, the solution that we have at the moment for mixtures. But the solution at the moment is that they need to put in the list of components with the percentage into the delivery information. And what we've done so far is that we enlarge the field that they can type in the information. So that is the solution for now, but we know that it's not the best solution, and that with the relaunch, we will also tackle it and make it more convenient for the supplier.
Okay, thank you very much. There's one additional feedback to this 186. I need to come back to this again. There's one feedback that Elfie Laridon said that if I understood well from the European Commission, it is also necessary or an obligation to mention the derogation or reference to point 186 and the derogation on the database.
Yes, but this is a question, would be a question to organic exceeds. So the European Commission wants to have the data on the level of availability, which takes place in the router database, and on the level of the derogation, which would take place in organic exceeds. When the nursery is looking for the availability of a certain planting material and he doesn't find the planting material in organic, they can apply for derogation, and in the derogation form it would be necessary to include a field that the nursery then have to tick to be able afterwards to have those information. And we've already implemented in some countries that are using organic exceeds. So if you want to have this information in the offer form and on organic exceeds, please also contact us so that we can implement it together and decide on the wording that you want to have in the offer, in the derogation form.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can continue, and please feel free to put further questions into the chat.
Yes, so we always have a few breaks in between to have time for questions.
You wanted to have a little break, maybe you said before? A 5 minutes break for people, or how is it organized?
We could have a 5-minute break if there's a need. I don't know. Kaya, how you feel? Do you need a break?
I'm okay, I can go on, but it's up to you.
Maybe we have a 2-minute break or a 3-minute break, and we continue. And still, you can put your questions to the chat. There's one more coming. But I think we have 2 minutes, 3 minutes break now. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I think we are coming back.
Okay. And then shall I continue?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead.
Okay. So
But maybe
okay.
maybe there's one question in the chat. Maybe we can already answer this. About the relaunch. There's a question if the supplier it will be required for the supplier to add the amount of each offer in the database with a new relaunch.
No. So at the moment, it is up to the countries to decide whether this is a mandatory information or not. And this is not something that will change with the relaunch, no.
Yeah, maybe about this quantity, this is a bit difficult because we have discussed with many suppliers and they see it as a business secret how much is available. And also we have the example from some countries where they had this amount listed in the database. And from their opinion, actually, it was not the best option because they experienced that farmers, if they can see, for instance, available, they wait until another farmer maybe bought this organic material and then they can ask for a derogation. So this causes that farmers wait quite long to buy organic material and then in order to get a derogation on the non-organic material. And of course, this is maybe not the case in each country and also not for all farmers, but we have seen these cases and therefore we have discussed with the supplier if they, for instance, could indicate if the availability is in a region like high, medium or low, but I don't know how this is organized in the different countries at the moment.
And also, like, what is the requirement is that the supplier puts a sufficient availability into the database. Yes. So in some countries, they have, for instance, created also species groups that they just call small quantities, and this small quantities is not they're not the basis for granting derogations, but then the suppliers can still offer small quantities. Yes, but they're not included, so to say, in the official availability.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you can go ahead and then we will have some more questions afterwards.
Okay. So now we come to the species catalog. So as I explained to you before, each species can be subdivided into groups on which level the classification into category 1, 2, and 3 takes place. Those subgroups are called species groups, at least in the English translation, but also in your country it might be a different wording used. So you might say subgroups or variety groups, just that there's no confusion when I talk about species groups. It's just the subdivision of a species. And also regarding those categories, slightly different wordings are used in the EU. So depending on the availability, each species can be put into a different category. So in the case of category 1, there's a high availability. So normally no derogations can be granted, only in exceptional cases. In category 2, there's a sufficient amount of organic material, but there's still also a slight lack of organic material. So it's a case-to-case decision. So a single derogation can be granted. And in the case of category 3, there's not enough organic material available, so general derogation is possible. And it makes sense to to subdivide all species into species groups and then categorize those species groups to get an overview of the availability of organic material in your country. And then also to see where there's a lack, where there's still need of support, to at one point reach the goal of 100% availability and phase out the derogations, as it is also written in the regulation. And this you can do here in the species group management. So here you would look for a specific species, and then you see all the species groups that have been created in your country. So in the case of potato, we have those species groups in Germany. You can then create a completely new species group, or you click on Edit and change the existing species group. So this is a task done by each of the national authority to subdivide all the relevant species in their countries into those species groups. So if you click on Edit, you will first see the denomination of the species group in your national language and also in English. So it would be helpful if you always also indicate the English denomination, because the objective of the router database was also to reduce the language barriers. So if a supplier wants to offer their material in your country, they will see the species groups. And if then the species groups is not at least translated into English, it might be difficult for them to select the correct species groups. And then here you can change the classification. So this is quite helpful because you can very flexible react also to the market situation and maybe put the species group into a different classification. So if you notice that during the year there's a shortage, you might want to change the species group so that in the end the farmer can use non-organic material if there's not enough available. Yes, so as this might be quite a big task in the beginning when you first use the router database to subdivide all the species into species groups, we can also do that initially with an import. So we will send you an Excel file with all the species, and in this Excel file you can then create the species groups that you want. We can upload it in the database, and then you can still use the species group management to then do individual changes. Also, it might be the case that it's not necessary to subdivide this species. You only, so in this case, you would only create one species group and then call it, for instance, not specified or common, and give this one species group a categorization. Then we have the cultivar management. So here you can search the whole cultivar catalog. You can search directly for a specific cultivar or all the cultivars of a specific species or a specific species group. And then you can click on Edit to change the allocation of cultivar to species groups. So in the case you have changed species groups, you might need to reallocate the cultivars. So this you can do here. And you can also click on history, and then you see the history of this specific cultivar, similarly to what we've seen in the offer tracking. But let's first click on Edit, and here where you will then see where the cultivar is currently, which species groups this cultivar is currently in, and here you might change the species groups. And this is then the view of when you click on history, you come to the offer tracking of this specific cultivar. You can again select a certain time period and see the changes that have been done. So below you would see even further changes. So if there's also have been changes in the species groups, for instance, as well. Okay, let's take a break again for some questions. Are there already some new questions?
No, there's nothing in the chat.
Otherwise, I what is next? Yeah, otherwise I go to the offer export and then we can see again. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can continue.
Okay. So in the offer export, it's also a very important function. You can select a certain date where you want to export all the offers that are available at this date. But you can also say, I want to also see the currently not available offers. And then you can also change the output language. And when you click on export, you will get a table which you can download, and here you will see the information on the country, the botanical name, the common name, the species group, the cultivar, the type of material, the quality and status. So here at this moment we have the status organic, but they might also be in conversion or approved according to 186. You will see whether quantity was indicated and also whether there's any further information. So here you might also find the information on the components of a mixture, for instance. And with this export, you can get an overview on the real-time market situation, but as you can also select different dates during the year, you can check current and past availabilities, you can create statistics, and you can report it to the European Commission. And also with this table, you can make informed and transparent decision on categorizing your species groups into category 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Are there now some questions?
No, not at the moment. I think you can go ahead.
Okay, so now I will just come to the conclusion. So what have we seen today? Which functions can authorities use in the router database? So we have the supplier management, where you can search for suppliers, assess new suppliers, and view contact information and organic certification of the supplier. We have the offer management, where you can view the offer history, re-evaluate offers already processed, assess new offers, and you have the possibility to automatically accept offers from selected suppliers. We have the species and cultivar management, where you can display the species and cultivar catalog. You can edit and create new species groups. You can change the allocation of cultivars to species groups and also change their categorization. We have a communication tool, so we have the internal messaging system, but you can also view the contact information of the responsible person using the router database in the seed company. And we have our reporting function, where you can export offers at a certain time. And then lastly, I want to inform you about the relaunch and other updates. So the last relaunch of the Organic Egg Seeds database is already almost 10 years ago. So with all those technological changes and also changes in the regulation, it's necessary to have an update of Organic Egg Seeds, and this will also entail an update of the router database. Also because initially the router database was set up to fit the needs of seeds, but is now also used in general for plant reproductive material. So that's why we need to do some major updates there. And also one objective of the relaunch is to make it even more flexible to adapt it to the country-specific requirements. And as we're also in the LiveSeeding projects, we also have some ideas there to, for instance, make it even more transparent to see which species group is in which categorization, also to be able to compare it to different countries. And also what we would wish for is that there would be more national authorities, also if you're not using Organic Egg Seeds as your national database, to establish interfaces to your national database. So if you're interested in that, you just contact us and we can see together how to set this interface up. Okay, and this is already the end of my my presentation. I want to thank you for your attention, and yeah, I'm again open for your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Kaya. I think that was a lot of information. And I think if you did not start working with the database, of course, it is very difficult. But if you already work with the database, it might have been very useful. There's one further question. If it is possible to have an availability report for a whole year, for instance, from the 1st of January until the end of December, and could you show an example?
It is possible. So this would, you cannot create directly yourself. So directly yourself, you can only create for a specific date. But if you're interested in then to see the availability of the whole year, we can create this for you. To show you an example now, would take some time. I think that I create one. Let's see. Maybe in the meantime, you have another example.
There's another question from Inge Kjelsen. Will it be possible for authority to reset their accounts in Organic Exceed so we don't need to contact Fiebel for each of this resetting?
Yes, so like if you forgot, so if you logged in and you will see the login data of all the logins that have been created for your authority account, you can click on change login data, and there you can change the email, your password, your username. Yes.
In case of if someone lost the password, how this is organized at the moment?
So normally you can click on forgotten password, and then you need to indicate then the email address and the username of your login, and then you can set up your own set up a new password.
So both cases should work directly in the database.
Yes, only then if you've also forgotten your username or your email address change, you will need to contact us so that we can change that in the system. Because to reset your password, you need email address and access to your email address, because you will get a link there with which you can reset your password.
Okay, there is more explanation to this question, that farmers contact the authority because the farmers log in and the password or the email, and we have to contact Fiebel. So for instance, the farmer loses the email, then...
Yes, so this is also something that would be in Organic Exceeds, because farmers are using Organic Exceeds. Then they also have the possibility of clicking on forgotten password. They need to put in their username and email. And then only in the case they don't have the email address anymore, for instance, the authority would contact us and we can change the email address in the system. But this you can always contact me directly, but we also have Organic Exceeds, and for the router database, we have email addresses where also my colleagues have access to, and then normally we will reply in very short term, so within maybe even within a couple of hours. So.
Okay, so but you don't plan to hand over this competency of resetting a task, an account from a farmer to the authority. So this is still in the hand of Fiebel.
At the moment, yes, this could be something that we can rethink about when we are doing the relaunch. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions? No. There's another question. Is there an ETA on the relaunch? I don't know, what is ETA?
It's like the time period, or I'm also not sure. Okay. We're still at the very, very beginning, and so there has not been yet the official start, so to say, of the relaunch, and the relaunch itself might also take a couple of years, or let's say one or two years. So yeah, there's nothing official yet.
So the ETA, we have further explanation, is the estimated time of arrival.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we have this in the database yet. And if we want to include it into the database, I think we will need to discuss if there's a high need to include this information. At least the database is not, of course, it's not a sales database for the supplier. It's just an indication of availability. So the estimated time of arrival. For me, it's not clear the question. Is it to when it arrives to the farmers or when it will be available? Because the when it will be available from, this is already included in the database.
I think when there will be the relaunch was the question.
Okay. Okay. So as you said, maybe it takes some time, 1 or 2 years, until the new database will be online. Yeah. I was involved in the previous relaunch about 10 years ago, and from my personal experience, I know that it takes some time because we have to include all the different perspectives and information comes from the regulation. So it's not that we just relaunch and set up a new database, but it's a very long process.
Yeah, but also if you have any other ideas or like at best very concrete ideas of what to improve, you're also welcome to contact us, and we are like collecting this feedback, yeah, and try to implement it as best as possible.
Then maybe I have one further question on this point 186. I think we had some very concrete questions on this from participants from Denmark and from Belgium. The question would be if they are from the participants, is there further need to discuss this in a certain round, this issue 186, maybe also with someone from the European Commission to have a separate webinar on this, or if this is a certain issue for some few countries where we can solve this directly. You can also speak if you want.
I just see the question, will the relaunch also include updating organic exits? Yes. So our main objective is to update organic exits, but that also entails, of course, updating the router database. But it's still two separate databases that are connected with the interface.
Okay, we have at least the feedback from Effie Laredon. I think she's from Belgium, if I'm right. Effie, that she would be interested to further discuss this issue. Within LiveSeeding, we have the possibility to have some further webinars, and of course, we are open to discuss such issues. And it could also be possible that we invite someone from DG Agri or someone who is directly involved in this task from the European Commission. I can have a look on this, who will be responsible. Maybe I can ask Patricia Piton. And we could set up a webinar on this in some months, maybe.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, but also if we have the, of course, we have this seed mixture issue as well. I think this is also important. We could include this. And are there any other issues to be included to such a webinar together with the European Commission and all the national authorities? So we would have a meeting or a webinar once again with the representatives of the authorities or people working with this issue within the authority and someone from the Commission. Okay. Any other comments? No? Okay, thank you very much. I think we have, we are very good in time.
I will just quickly share my screen again, because now I created an export of the availability of a whole year. Well, actually, I didn't create of a whole year, only of what happened in March, but the same is possible for the whole year. And this is exports that have been created in March in our demo version. So it's only 4 entries. One moment. Okay. So unfortunately, it's in German. I didn't put it in English now, but so to see the availability of the whole year is very similar to the view that you have when you only create it for a certain date. So you have the botanical name, the species, the cultivar, the form, quality, and status. So here you could have also in conversion or approved according to 186. You have the quantity if it was indicated, the country, the species group, and then again the delivery information. So just to show you live how it would look like an export like that.
And to understand better, this is the period of March. And
yes, so like normally we then would create an export showing all the offers that have been available within the year, within 2022, for instance.
Okay, but it is not indicated from when to when this offer was available.
No, this is in this export, it's not indicated.
Can you get this information?
We can get this information through the offer history. Yeah.
Okay. So it is not in this report at the moment.
No, this is also not, because it's not the required information for the European Commission. So this is the report that we can send, or that national authorities can send to the European Commission. And the time of availability was not a requirement there. But this information is in the database, so it can be potentially exported as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much for being so flexible to create this report. I hope it answers some questions. Are there any final remarks? There's one. Could you share your screen once again?
Unfortunately, now I only created a. Yes, this was a mistake that I did when I inserted the offer. That I first said that it is a bulb instead of a tuber.
There's a potato listed as Zwiebel.
Yes, so that is like I created an export from our demo version, and when I prepared this presentation, I wanted to do some examples, and then I wrongly once selected the onion instead of potato.
Okay, so there was a mistake done by you, not in the system.
Yeah.
Okay. There's one other question. Will the current report include all the required information for the annual seed report of the year 22?
Yes, so we only need to do the EU report in 2023. So for instance, we've only recently informed the supplier that they, for instance, need to put the information of the list of components into the delivery information, because this was also an information that only reached us recently as well by the European Commission. So that's why the report for 2022 might not entail all those informations yet, but the report for 2023 should include those information. And this is then when we officially need to report to the European Commission. So according to regulation, it was 5 years after the start of the new regulation, which was 2018.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or feedback? Okay, I think there was a lot of information. There's someone raising your hand. Yeah?
Yes. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just one question. Would it be possible to get the presentation or a brochure with the exact information which you just presented on the screen?
Explanation of all this, you mean?
Yeah. So in order to explain it or to have a further look at it, it would be nice to have to see it back and to go through it when you try it for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the presentation we can send to you afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I suggest maybe that we just upload the presentation on the SharePoint in the or no, yeah, it's for external persons. Okay, sorry. Okay.
No, actually, we want to make public all the material, also the recording on the website afterwards. And also we can put the slides there, but there's also a user manual of the database available. So front page, there's a user manual for the different actors. But if you have further questions, of course, you're free to contact us again. And I think we will also send a short report about this.
Yeah. And then in a few weeks' time, yeah, the website will be operational by the end of the month. And so, yes, we can upload this stuff also on the website. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe I come back to the planned features of the new of the router database within the LiveSeeding project. At the moment, we get, or in the past also, we got a lot of requests from seed suppliers that for them, from a strategical point of view, it is also from an information point of view, it is very important to understand which species or subspecies are set on which category, so category 1, 2, or 3. And at the moment, this is not very easy. This information is not very easy to find for all the suppliers. And therefore, we plan to have something like at the front page, a link or like a header where you can see, you click on, and then you can see in which country a certain crop or subcrop is set on these categories to make it more transparent. And then it is also, there was a request, or we had this experience in the past when we, in the LiveSeed project, we tried to collect all derogation reports from the national authorities. They should be public actually, but they are not, or they are just public for a certain time on the website and then they disappear. So we wanted to develop a repository where all the derogation reports of the national authorities can be uploaded. And of course, we asked the European Commission if they can publish this, and I think that they are still discussing where this place could be, where these derogation reports could be made public. But of course, we have the possibility on the router database quite easily to make all the reports public. And therefore, we want to install this feature where all the national authorities can upload their derogation reports. So it is also transparent for farmer or for seed supplier to see the derogation reports of each country. So this will be a feature installed in future. Okay. Any further comments? Okay, then I would close the session. I'm very happy that we have this discussion also on this point 186. So I think it is quite important, and we will see if we can get someone from the European Commission who could make a webinar with us on this. Yeah. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.